Why are
Why
U.S.
are
elections
U.S.
held on
elections held
Tuesdays?
on Tuesdays?
For decades,
For decades,
federal elections in
federal
the United
elections in
States
the
have been
United
held on
States
the
have been
Tuesday
held on
after the
Tuesday
first
after the
Monday in
first Monday in
November.
November.
Why this
Why
date?
this date?
Originally,
Originally,
election days
election days
varied by
vary by
state,
state,
but in
but in
1845,
1845,
a law
a
was
law was
passed to
passed
set a
to set
single
a
election
single
day for
election
the
day for
entire
the entire
country.
country.
At first,
At
it
first, it
applied only
applied
to
only to
presidential
presidential
elections,
elections,
but it was
but it
later
was
extended to
later
congressional
extended to
elections as
congressional
well.
elections as well.
At that time,
At that
the
time,
United
the
States
United
was
States
still a
was still a
largely
largely
agrarian society. For
agrarian society.
farmers,
Farmers
who made up a
who made up a
majority of the
majority
labor
of the
force,
labor force.
much of the
Much
year
of the
was
years
taken
were
up by
taken
the
up by the
planting,
planting,
tending, and
tending, and
harvesting of
harvesting of
crops.
crops.
Early
Early
November was a
November
good
was a
time to
good time
vote
to vote
because the
because the
harvest was
harvest
over,
was
but
over,
the
but
weather
the
was
weather was
still
still
relatively mild.
relatively mild.
Still,
Still,
some
some
days of the
days of
week
the
were
week
better than
were better
others.
than others.
2 days were
2 days were
definitely out of the
definitely
question.
out of the
Most
question.
Americans
Most
were devout
Americans were
Christians
devout
and
Christians
thus
and
set
thus
aside
set
Sunday
aside
as a
Sunday
day of
as a day
rest
of
and
rest
worship.
and worship.
Wednesday in
Wednesday
many
in
areas
many
was a
areas
market
was a
day
market
when
day
farmers
when
sold their
farmers sold
crops
their
in town.
crops in town.
In
In
addition, a
addition,
travel
the
day was
travel day
sometimes
was
required.
sometimes required.
In rural
In
areas,
rural
the
areas,
nearest
the
polling place
nearest
might
polling
have been
place might
several
have been
miles
several
away,
miles away,
and in
and
an era
in an
before
era before
automobiles,
automobiles,
getting there could
getting
take
there
a
could
while.
take a while.
If people
If
couldn't
people
use
couldn't
Sunday or
use
Wednesday as
Sunday or
their
Wednesday
travel
as
day,
their travel day,
then that meant
that
election
meant
day
election
couldn't be
day
on
could be
Monday
on
or
Monday or
Thursday either.
Thursday either.
So
So
Tuesday was
Tuesday was
perceived as the
perceived as
best
the best
option.
option.
The reason
The
that
reason that
Election Day was
election day was
specified as the
specified as the
Tuesday
Tuesday
after the
of the
first
first
Monday
Monday
was to
was
prevent
to
it from
prevent
falling
it
on
from
November
falling on
1st.
November 1st.
That day was
That day was
considered
considered
unfavorable
unfavorable
because some
because
Christians
some
observed it
Christians
as
observed
All
it as
Saints'
All
Day,
Saints'
and
Day,
also
and also
because
because
merchants
merchants
typically took the
typically took
first
the
day of the
first day of
month
the
to
month
settle their
to settle
books
their
for the
books for
previous
the
month.
previous month.
Why are U.S.
Why are
elections
U.S.
held on
elections held
Tuesdays?
on Tuesdays?
For
For
decades,
decades,
federal
federal
elections in the
elections
United
in the
States have been
United
held
States
on the
have been held
Tuesday
on
after the
Tuesday after
first
the first
Monday in
Monday in
November.
November.
Why this
Why this
date?
date?
Originally,
Originally,
election days
election days
varied by
vary by
state,
state,
but in
but in
1845,
1845,
a law
a
was
law
passed
was
to set a
passed to
single
set a
election day
single
for the
election day
entire
for the
country.
entire country.
At first,
At
it
first,
applied
it
only to
applied
presidential
only to
elections,
presidential
but it was
election,
later
but
extended
it
to
was later
congressional
extended
elections as
to
well.
congressional elections as
At that
well.
time,
At that
the
time,
United
the
States was
United
still a
States was still
largely
a largely
agrarian
agrarian
society.
society.
For
For
farmers,
farmers,
who made up
who
a
made up a
majority of the
majority
labor
of the
force,
labor force,
much of the
much
year
of the
was
year
taken
was
up by
taken
the
up by
planting,
the planting,
tending, and
tending, and
harvesting of
harvesting of
crops.
crops.
Early
Early
November was a
November
good
was a
time to
good time
vote
to vote
because the
because the
harvest was
harvest was
over,
over,
but the
but
weather
the
was
weather was
still
still
relatively
relatively
mild.
mild.
Still,
Still,
some days of
some
the
days
week
of the
were
week
better than
were better
others.
than others.
2 days were
2 days were
definitely out of the
definitely
question.
out of the question.
Most
Most of
Americans were devout
Americans were
Christians
devout
and
Christians
thus
and
set
thus
aside
set
Sunday
aside
as a
Sunday
day of
as a
rest
day of
and
rest
worship.
and worship.
Wednesday in many
Wednesday in
areas
many
was a
areas
market
was a
day
market
when
day
farmers
when
sold their
farmers sold
crops
their
in
crops
town.
in town.
In
In
addition, a
addition, a
travel day
travel
was
day was
sometimes
sometimes
required.
required.
In
In
rural
rural
areas,
areas,
the nearest
the
polling
nearest
place
polling
might
place
have been
might have
several
been
miles
several
away,
miles away,
and
and
in an
in an
era
area
before
before
automobiles, getting
automobiles,
there could take a
getting there could
while.
take a while.
If people
If
couldn't
people
use
couldn't use
Sunday or
Sunday or
Wednesday as their
Wednesday as their
travel day,
travel day,
then that meant
then that
election
meant
day
election
couldn't
day
be on
couldn't be
Monday
on
or
Monday or
Thursday
Thursday
either.
either.
So
So
Tuesday was
Tuesday was
perceived as the
perceived
best
as the
option.
best option.
The reason
The
that
reason that
Election Day was
election day was
specified as the
specified as
Tuesday
the
after
Tuesday
the
after
first
the first
Monday
Monday
was to
was
prevent
to
it from
prevent
falling
it
on
from
November
falling on
1st.
November 1st.
That day was
That day was
considered
considered
unfavorable
unfavorable
because some
because some
Christians
Christians
observed it as
observe
All
it as
Saints'
All
Day,
Saints' Day,
and also
and all
because merchants
because
typically
merchants
took the
typically
first
took
day
the
of the
first day
month
of
to
the month
settle their
to
books
settle
for the
their books
previous
of
month.
previous month. That day was considered unfavorable because some Christians observed it as All Saints' Day, and also because merchants typically took the first day of the month to settle their books for previous month. 句子的主语为 the day，谓语为 was considered 之后的 unfavorable 为主语补足语。句子后面的两个 because 分别引导 两个原因状语从句。 prevent from 防止某事发生 prevent something from happening. Stop 近义词是 stop from, keep from, protect from, 防止 stop from, keep from. Nothing would prevent him from speaking out against injustice. Specify 指定 to state something, especially by giving an exact measurement, time, exact instructions, etc. Appoint specific 细节 specified 规定的 specification 详述说明 The regulations specify that the calculators may not be used in the examination. Specify appoint prevent something from happening. The reason that election day was specified as the Tuesday after the first Monday was to prevent from falling on November 1. That day was considered unfavorable because some Christians observed it as Saints' Day, and also because merchants typically took the first day of month to settle their books for the previous month. Perceive, to understand or think of something in a particular way. To understand or think something in a particular way. Be perceived as,被认为是 be perceived as, perceive 认为感知 be commonly, generally perceived as, be generally perceived as. See, think 是近义词 see, think. Perception 名词 perceptive 可认为的可感知的形容词 perceptible 可以接受的 perceptible. This discovery was perceived as a majority breakthrough. This discovery was perceived as a majority breakthrough. This discovery was perceived as a major breakthrough. This discovery was perceived as a major breakthrough. Perceive. So Tuesday was perceived as the best option. Rare, error, a period of time, usually in history, that is different from other periods because of particular characteristic or event. New error, information area. Elizabeth error. Elizabeth error. When she left firm, it was the end of an era. Polling 投票 the activity of voting. Polling station, polling booth, polling staff. Referendum 公投 vote 投票 Polling has been heavy since 8 a.m. In rural areas, the nearest polling place might have been several miles away, and in an era before automobiles, getting there could take a while. If people couldn't use Sunday or Wednesday as their travel day, then that meant election day couldn't be on Monday or Thursday either. Set aside 将什么什么抛在一边 set aside 抽出时间 to save or keep money or time for a particular purpose. Set aside some time 抽出一些时间 set aside some time. She tries to set aside some money every month. Set aside belief. Devout 虔诚的 believing strongly in particular religion and obeying its law and practice. Believing strong in particular religion and obeying its law and practice. Devout believer, devout Buddhist, devout 虔诚的 pious religious 宗教的虔诚的 religious what pious 虔诚的 devoutness 虔诚 He was a devout Christian. devout Buddhist, devout believer, devout 虔诚的 out of question 完全不可能的 total unlikely impossible. Another trip abroad this year is out of question. Wednesday in many areas was a market day when farmers sold their crops in town. In addition, a travel day was sometimes required. Wednesday in many areas was a market day. Still, some days of the week were better than others. 2 days were definitely out of the question. 完全不可能的 out of the question. Most Americans were devout Christians and thus set aside Sunday as a day of rest and worship. 完全 out of question. Devout, devout Buddhist, devout Christian, devout believer. Peers, religious, set aside, 抛在一边 set aside the beliefs. For farmers who made up a majority of the labor force, much of the year was taken up by the planting, tending, and harvesting of crops. 本句话中 who 引导的定语从句用于修饰 farmers， 而句子的真正主语为 much of the year， 谓语部分为系动词和动词构成的被动形式 was taken up， 而by于后面几个动名词作为方式状语。For farmers who made up a majority of the labor force, much of the year was taken up by the planting, tending, and harvesting of crops. Relatively 相对的 relative 相对的 to 相当的相对的比较的 to a fair large degree, especially in comparison to something else. Relatively safe 相对安全 relatively small 相对较小 relatively speaking. Fairly comparative fairly 相当的 comparatively. Fairly, relatively. We had relatively few applications for the job. Crop, cultivate crop, grow crop, cultivate crop, 农作物 produce crop. Crops are sprayed with high toxic chemicals to prevent insect damage. Harvest 丰收 good abundant harvest 丰收 yield 收获是 yield 指生产物农作物的总产量 harvest 主要指农作物或水果的收获量 harvest 有时也指收割的行为 In the US more than 130,000 tons of live oysters are harvested each year. Harvest, abundant harvest. Agrarian, 土地的农业的 connected to farming and the use of land for farming. Agrarian economy, agrarian revolution. The final result of agrarian reform depends on the peasants' organized participant. Agrarian revolution, agrarian harvest, abundant harvest, yield, crop, grown crop, produce, relatively, fairly, comparatively. At that time, the United States was still a largely agrarian society. For farmers who made up a majority of the labor force, much of the year was taken up by the planting, tending, and harvesting of crops. Early November was a good time to vote because the harvest was over, but the weather was still relatively mild. Congressional 国会的 related to or belong to the Congress or the Congress in the U.S. Congressional hearing, congressional district, Congress 国会 congressman 国会议员 The president explained his plan to congressional leaders. Apply 适用于申请应用的 applied to 适用于 to concern or relate to somebody, something applied. What I'm saying applied only to some of you. What I'm saying applied only to some of you. Apply 申请 apply for a job, a visa. Apply for a job, a visa. Apply for a job 申请 apply for a job, a visa 申请 apply 用于 vary 变化 shift change to change or be different according to the situation, vary from, vary in, shift change, varied, variable, various, variation, variety, pulse rate, vary slightly from person to person, vary, shift, change, apply, 应用的申请 apply 国会的 congressman. Originally, election days vary by state, but in 1855, a law was passed to set a single election day for the entire country. At first, it applied only to presidential elections, but it was later extended to congressional elections as well. For decades, federal elections in the United States have been held on the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Why this date? Why are U.S. elections held on Tuesday? Vary, apply, 国会的 congressman, congressional, congressman, Congress, agrarian, 农业的 agrarian revolution, harvest, yield, crop, relatively, fairly, comparatively, out of question, devout, pious religious, set aside 抛在脑后 polling referendum 公投 vote 投票 error perceive be perceived with, see think perceive be commonly perceived with, specified 规定的 specification specific 细节 appoint specific prevent something from
Why are
U.S.
U.S.
elections held on Tuesdays?
For decades, federal elections in the United States have been held on the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Why
this date? 数十年来，美国的联邦选举一直都定在11月的第一个星期一之后的星期二举行。为什么要定在这样一个日子呢
？Originally, election days varied by state, but in 1845, a law was passed to set a single election day for the entire country. At first, it applied only to presidential elections, but it was later extended to congressional elections
as well. 最初因选举日因州而异，但1845年通过了一项法律，规定了全国只有一个选举日。起初它仅适用于总统选举，后来也扩展到国会选举。
At that time, the United States was still a largely agrarian society. For farmers, who made up a majority of the labor force, much of the year was taken up by the planting, tending, and harvesting of crops. Early November was a good time to vote because the harvest was over, but the weather was still relatively mild. Still, some days of the week were better than others. 2 days were definitely out of the question. Most Americans were devout Christians, and thus set aside Sunday as a day of rest and worship. Wednesday.
当时，美国仍是一个以农业为主的社会。At that time， 对于占据绝大多数劳动力的农民来说，一年中的大部分时间都花在了农作物的种植、抚育和收割上。11月初是投票的好时机，因为收成已经结束，但天气相对来还不算太冷。尽管 still some days of the week were better than others， 一周中有些日子会比其他日子更合适。2 days were definitely out of question， 但有2天是绝对不可能的。大多数美国人是虔诚的基督徒。Most Americans were devout Christian and thus set aside Sunday as a day of rest and worship.
Many areas was a market day, when farmers sold their crops in town. In addition, a travel day was sometimes required.
在许多地区，星期三是集市日，农民会在镇上出售农作物。另外，有时还需要花1天在路上。In addition, a travel day was sometimes required. In
rural areas, the nearest polling place might have been several miles away, and in an era before automobiles, getting there could take a while. If people couldn't use Sunday or Wednesday as their travel day, then that meant election day couldn't be on Monday or Thursday either.
In rural area, the nearest polling place might have been several miles away, and in an area before automobiles, getting there could take a while. 在农村地区，最近的投票站可能位于几英里之外，而且那时还没有汽车，到达投票站可能要花些许时间。If people couldn't use Sunday or Wednesday as their travel day, then that meant election day could not be on Monday or Thursday either. 如果人们不能在周日或周三出行，则意味着选举日也不能选在周一或周四。So Tuesday was perceived as the best option. 因此周二被认为是最好的选择。The reason that election day was specified as the Tuesday after the first Monday was to prevent it from falling on.
So Tuesday was perceived as the best option. The reason that election day was specified as the Tuesday after the first Monday was to prevent it from falling on November 1st. That day was considered unfavorable because some Christians observed it as All Saints' Day, and also because merchants typically took the first day of the month to settle their books for the
previous month. The reason that election day was specified as the Tuesday after the first Monday was to prevent it from falling on November 1. 之所以将选举日定为第一个星期一之后的星期二，是为了防止那天落在11月1日。That day was considered unfavorable because some Christians observed it as All Saints' Day. 人们认为这一天是不吉利的，因为一些基督徒称这一天为万圣节 All Saints' Day. Some Christians observe it as All Saints' Day, and also because merchants typically, 而且商人通常会选择每个月的第一天来处理上个月的账目 typically took the first day of the month to settle their books for the previous month.